everybody. Welcome to our Virtues Pick for today. I'm Joe Van Doren, and I encourage you to like, share, and follow us at YouTube as we focus on a virtue each morning during the week. And today we have a great virtue, one that we all appreciate in everyone that we have around us, and that virtue is generosity. So let's read the description first, and then we'll talk about it a little bit and how we can apply it and help our children develop this virtue of generosity. So generosity is giving to others something that is of value to us. Generosity is a quality of spirit that calls us to share what we have. We also allow others to give to us. Every gift is doubly blessed, bringing joy to the giver and the receiver. Generosity helps us to give time and attention to the feelings, needs, and views of those around us. It springs from a sense of abundance and gratitude for the limitless richness of life. We give cheerfully without expecting anything in return. We are receptive to blessings. Generosity encourages us to share the bounty. Wow. So I have to tell you that there's one line in here that sprung out at me, and it's only because of the world that we live in today, because typically when I think about generosity, I'm thinking about what is it that I can give. And of course, I appreciate the idea of being willing to accept the generosity of others and allowing others to give to us. And we've talked about this before, but this is an area that I've not always been particularly, it hasn't been very developed in me. So, but when we do allow others to give to us, it brings them just the same amount of joy and satisfaction and feeling of connection that we feel when we give to those that we love, when we give to our children, or when we give to our family, or to those that are close to us. And of course, generosity goes beyond that, doesn't it? It's sharing our bounty with others, maybe even sometimes, and maybe many times, those that we don't know. Those that we recognize they're in a situation where we have something that we might be able to share with them that they need. But I was taken back today by this line in here that says that generosity helps us to give time and attention to the feelings, needs, and views of those around us. Wow. So there's so many ways of thinking about that, but that line really struck me this morning. I know already that when we're working with our children and we're raising our kids, that we must give our time and attention to their feelings. When we allow them to express themselves and their feelings, we make them have a sense of not only belonging, but it gives them an opportunity to look deeply inside of themselves as they express those things. It helps them to feel as if they belong. It helps them to feel like they are accepted, and that their feelings and the things that are happening around them and the way they are perceiving them are valid. And it gives us the opportunity then to and them to examine that more closely. And when we're not generous with our time and our attention to those things, then there's a friction that takes place within the other person, right? And especially with young people, but also with adults too. But I was struck by this generosity, giving time and attention to the views of those around us. We just live in a world when people just don't do that. They have their point of view, and it's very difficult for them to listen to what others are saying, or to hear what they're saying, or to connect it to their past experiences. And it does take this virtue of generosity to do that. It allows us to say, I have my beliefs, and I have my own thoughts on this situation, But to be open, to have that openness, and openness is a virtue also, but to have that openness and willingness to be generous with our time in listening and giving our attention to the views of those around us. Can you imagine when we do that, how that affects the other person? And it affects us because we're going to learn something new. And when we do this with our children, when we allow them to express their views and give the attention to their views, it gives us a different look on things. And we may not change our point of view. We may see something from a bigger picture than they do. But when we're willing to do that, it gives us the opportunity, and they're more open to hearing us when we are companioning them. Now, I've used this word companioning because it's the most generous way that we can use our time and attention. And it's one of the 5 strategies of the Virtues Project, which we haven't discussed a lot here as we talk about the virtues, and focus on them on a daily basis. But companioning is our ability to listen and to speak with others in virtue-based language. And it is critical to building relationships, to helping those who are, feeling down, the ability to help others see, and not us telling them, but them finding it for themselves and looking deep inside of them and seeing the virtues that they need to express at this time, or to develop at this time, or to practice at this time. And this is a true statement from whether we're working with adults or if we're working with our children. And so generosity is one of those virtues that helps us to companion versus being that authoritarian over top of our children or over top of other people. And that's not to say that there aren't times when we have to give direction. And it's not to say that there's not going to be times when we have to be assertive, but we're going to do things with generosity, with our time and attention to the feelings, needs, and views of those around us. And when we do that with the right mindset and the right attitude, and when we're expecting to be able to give to others, and when we give to others without expecting anything in return, they're going to be more receptive to whatever it is that we have to say, and there's going to be a meeting of the minds, I would say, and especially when we're dealing with our children, because all they want really is to be heard and to feel like that they are connected and belong to this beautiful family that you're working on. So generosity is something that we appreciate in others, and and I'm still working on making sure that I accept people's generosity, and while at the same time giving my own time and attention. And sometimes it's treasures, right? And sometimes it's our time, and sometimes it's a skill set, but whatever it is, we're willingly sharing with others. So how do we help our children with generosity? First of all, we must be generous with our time and attention. We can help them to see how that type of generosity is helpful in building relationships. And so they're going to learn it from our example. And we can take them to with us when we are sharing with others something. Maybe we're sharing some monies, or maybe we're with charity, or maybe we're sharing some food with others, or maybe we're just taking our time to give some attention to someone who may need it. It may be simply just listening to someone. And we can have our children with us when we do that, and it's going to be a great lesson to them while we tell them and use those words with them, and recognize in them when they're practicing generosity too. So that's how I'm thinking about this virtue today. I'm going to focus on it myself, especially with listening and giving attention to the views of others. I think that's just, it just kind of struck me this morning, so that's how I'm going to look at it today. So thank you for being here, and I ask you again to please like and share, follow us on YouTube and on Facebook, and we will continue to bring these daily focuses on a virtue each day. So until next time, keep practicing the virtues, especially generosity, and the 4 C's of successful families, and that is clarity, communication, consistency, and community. Until next time.